my people, and welcome back to the Ricardo Report. I am your official voice of youth and high school sports. I am Chad Ricardo. Football season is upon us. We're going to break down all things going down in the DCSAA and beyond in the entire DMV. Coming up, Joshy Laurie is going to join the show so that he can break down my all DMV top 25, which you can catch on NBC Sports Washington. My main man, that sports dude, breaking down the DCIAA, Chris Dunlap, is going to be joining the show as well. But first, an old friend. He is presently a CBS Sunday correspondent, a Gonzaga College High School alumni, and a graduate of St. John's University in New York. Before he did any of those things, though, he was a Ricardo Report representative. My main man, WCAC insider, Darrell Balknight. Darrell, you there?
Yeah, I'm here.
All right. Now, look, I know that you got to run. You got to go off and do CBS Sunday or wherever it is that you work. But before you do that, back to your roots. You're WCAC insider. Here's what I want to ask you about. Of course, my first poll came out this week with NBC Sports Washington, and I have St. John's ranked over Gonzaga. It was really hard for me. I toiled over that decision a few times. What I want to know from you is, do you feel as though that's right? Because Gonzaga did knock off St. John's in that WCAC championship game. A lot of people are upset about it.
Yeah, it is a tough decision, and I understand where the decision-making was tough for you, but it has to be understood that this is a new season, and going based off what happened in the championship or just any time last year with St. John's and Gonzaga, it's tough to make a decision with that. So, St. John's is coming off a dominant win. Gonzaga came off a 33-14 win over a good Florida powerhouse, and it's a week-by-week thing. So having St. John's,
you're a Gonzaga man. You're Gonzaga. I understand where you're going here, but they may not let you back on campus.
I think they will. Regardless, because it's a week-by-week thing, and the eye test is one thing, but actually understanding how the teams played, how the game was won, how the teams dominated, and plus who they played, what their opponents were, it's all subjective. So I think there's no problem having St. John's above Gonzaga for this week at least.
If you had your poll, where would they be respectfully?
In WCAC or DMV?
In DMV. In Darrell Balknight's DMV poll, where are they respectfully?
I think I would put, for now, I would put St. John's one spot above Gonzaga. So I can't say St. John's 1 to Gonzaga 2, or maybe it's St. John's 3, Gonzaga 4, St. John's 2, Gonzaga 3, but I would put them one above the other, respectfully.
Listen, I figured that you agreed with me. I just had to get someone from Gonzaga to be on record with agreeing with my take there. Okay. Now, here's the bigger picture, the broader scope of things. Of course, WCAC games themselves are a while into the distance, so this is kind of a WCAC preview. You know the squads better than anybody else out there. Dematha, Good Counsel, St. John's, Gonzaga, 1 through 4, or we'll go 4 through 1. How do you believe they finish the year?
It's so tough to rank them because
Sure.
Even if you ranked one high or one low, that doesn't really give an idea as to how the season will finish. You can have a lower seeded team finish number 1 and win the championship at the end of the day, and that's the beauty of the WCAC. But if I were to guess right now, regardless of record, regardless of talent, I think number 4 will be Good Counsel.
No, at GC football, they're coming after you.
I think Good Counsel is going to finish 4. I'm going to say Gonzaga 3.
Woo!
Gonzaga is going to be 3rd. Dematha 2, and St. John's 1. The reason I'm going in that order, again, it's not knocking talent. It's not, taking away anything from all the amazing players that each of those 4 teams they have on their side of the field.
Hey, D. I think Coach Trivers is calling me right now. He's calling me right now. They want to have a word from you right now. They're taking your God is Purple pass away right now.
Well, you know what? I was just about to buy a God is Purple shirt. So it's all good. It's not taking anything away from any of their players, but I do think, say Gonzaga finishes 7-3. Right?
Yeah.
St. John's 9-1, Dematha 8-2. Those records at the end of the day, and you can account for this, when it comes to postseason time, those records are out the door. So, and it's a brand new season, and that's reiterated year after year after year in the WCAC. So, that's just a preliminary regular season prediction, but come postseason time, who knows what can happen. We saw that last year in the championship. Final prediction will get you off of here.
Who walks away the all-total WCAC champion?
Championship game.
5 seconds, D.
Gonzaga, St. John's. St. John's.
Gonzaga, St. John's. St. John's is your WCAC champion. So says WCAC insider Darrell Balknight. D. Thank you very much for joining the show this morning, brother.
All right, not a problem. Thanks, Chad.
That's enough WCAC. Let's get to the rest of the DCSAA. And joining me now, I got my main man, Mr. DCIAA. You know him as that sports dude. I like to call him my friend, Mr. Chris Dunlap. You on the line, Chris?
Yeah, man. What's poppin', Shad? How you feel, bro?
Man, I feel good, especially since you are here. Listen, the football season is underway. We're in week 2 for most teams, week 3 for some others. But I know that you got your eyes on Thanksgiving, on that November time frame. This special time for you and for the district is Turkey Bowl 50 this year.
Man, no doubt about it, Shad. You read my mind. Man, from the time that 2019, we clicked over to 2019, man, I've been dead set on Thanksgiving Day, Turkey Bowl 50. Man, when we talk about Turkey Bowl 50, let me put it in perspective for you real quick. Turkey Bowl 50, the Turkey Bowl, the DCIAA Turkey Bowl, is only 4 years younger than the legendary Super Bowl. So
wow.
Just that right there puts it in perspective of how historic of a game that the Turkey Bowl is. I mean, it's one of the most historic events in D.C. I mean, I say it all the time, D.C. would not be D.C. without it. The Turkey Bowl, man, it's a pillar event for the city, I mean, for decades. Of course, it's on Thanksgiving, so nobody has to work. Everybody's free. Everybody's with their family. It brings the city together from the times that it was played at RFK to the times that it was played at Howard University, all the way to 2019 when it will be played at Eastern Senior High School. Man, the stands have been and will always be filled with alumni, parents, kids. Man, it's just one of those events, man, that everybody circles on their calendar, that college alumni, that college kids who played in DCIAA, who've gone off to college, NFL players who played in the DCIAA Turkey Bowl, that circle on their calendar and say, man, I got to be at that game.
I got to be there. I got to be back for that. I tell you what, for all of you out there, be sure to follow Chris for all of your updates on not only the Turkey Bowl, but everything that's going on in the DCIAA. You'll find out here that he knows more than anybody, for my money's worth, about the DCIAA. I want to talk to you now. I believe that this is your alma mater. As we reach back to last week, the first team that I want to speak about, H.D. Woodson, they went up to Martinsburg. That's your alma mater, right?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
They went up to Martinsburg. Now, they lost this ball game 49-12. For people who don't know football, though, they may be hitting the panic button, but Martinsburg is a powerhouse, bro. I read something.
Yes,
they've won like 4 in a row, 4 championships in a row, like 2 to 3 times. Martinsburg is a beast. So for you, though, being an alum, are you concerned about HD after that game 1?
Now, let me tell you, and I'm glad, Shaq, that you mentioned those statistics about Martinsburg, because Martinsburg is an absolute powerhouse program. So with that being said, it really, that loss that HD took to Martinsburg really doesn't concern me this early in the year. Losing an out-of-town game, especially for an HD Woodson, is no reason to press panic.
Sure.
HD Woodson is a program. They're smart about how they schedule their games, how they line up their season. They always schedule, and any of you guys who are listening can definitely look back at their previous schedules throughout the history of the program. They always schedule high-quality, tough out-of-town programs to play early in the season to prep them for DCIAA and DCSAA play.
Yeah, and you look at this squad last year. I mean, this was a team HD that started off 0-3 before winning 10 games in a row, right?
Exactly. So these out-of-town games, even back to when I played, the out-of-town games were more so preparation for coming back to DC and being able to compete with the likes of Baloo, with the likes of Friendship, and etc.
Wait, Chris, did you just say that you played, bro? I thought you were just behind the camera. You played ball as well?
Yeah, I actually played. I actually played for 2 years. Of course, I played with so many different stars. I was more so of a utility player. I have no problem with admitting that. But I loved my time at HD. One of my favorite coaches, Coach Ray, was one of the main reasons that I had the success that I had. I just had so many great coaches, man. I wasn't the best athlete, but one thing, and especially like a Coach Ray or Coach Fuller would always say, that Chris Dunlap was a hard worker. So anytime I see any players today who may not be the best of athletes, but their coaches share with me that they have the work ethic of a five-star athlete, I always try to share advice with those guys to say, hey, yeah, you may not be getting the stars, you may not be getting offers, but your grind is going to get you where you need to be and where you want to be. So
your grind will get you where you need to be in life, both on and beyond the football field. There's always a career on this side of the field for those who don't go on and play in the NFL. So
yeah, for sure.
100.
And I know you can agree with this guy. And I love it on this side.
It's a lot less painful on this side, you know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
So the other game, and this one's really interesting to me. This was Friendship versus Wilson. Now, Friendship went into Wilson. They end up walking away 26-0. I want to speak to you specifically about this game because, of course, you yourself and my main man, Big KP, you all made a little bit of hay when you predicted that Wilson would finish 4th in the DCIAA. A few people got upset about you, but 2 games, all the love in the world to Wilson, but they haven't looked good yet. Are you more concerned about Wilson or more impressed with Friendship?
Well, I'll start off by saying this about this game.
Yeah.
This game kind of went how I expected it. As you just mentioned, Chad, I did predict that I didn't believe that Wilson would be as good as they have been in the past, 4 or 5 years or so.
You were throwing more logs on the fire, huh?
Friendship dominating this game really it kind of more so confirmed what I thought about these two teams. As I was pretty confident that Friendship would be focused early in the season. They would go in and kind of dominate this game. And I wasn't too surprised to see Wilson, as I saw some highlights on the Who's Mizzou network from my good friend Alfonso Duckett. I wasn't too surprised to see them kind of struggle versus a Friendship collegiate team. But for Friendship, I'll say this. The game that I measured them on, and I also measured the opponent that they'll be playing in this upcoming game in 2 weeks. The Friendship versus HD matchup is where I measure both of those programs to see how they're going to look throughout the rest of the season, especially in DC play.
And, of course, that game coming up at the RFK Classic, that'll be next week, I'm pretty sure, right?
Yep, September 14th, 5 p.m. Again, like you just said, Chad, in a kickoff classic over at RFK Stadium. Should be a really good game, and an opportunity for the city to see what
Yeah,
these
man.
teams have to offer.
Yeah, man. You cannot beat that. The stands will be packed for that matchup here. The last game from last week, we both had the opportunity to be here. This was Bell versus Ballou. In terms of the DCSAA, this is a Class 1 team against, or a Class A team and a Class AA team. At Class A team, the defending champs, Bell, they went in there and they beat Ballou. In your opinion, now,
on the south side, nonetheless.
Sure. It's a good game. That's you and I, we both loved it. An opportunity for a Hail Mary down the stretch. Your observations on that? Was it more about Bell or more about Ballou's inefficiencies?
The game itself really came down to Ballou's inefficiency, taking nothing away from Bell, because Bell showed that though they graduated an outstanding senior class,
just an amazing class. Yeah,
absolutely was. But they showed with this team now, especially behind sophomore running back Tobias Burton and senior captain Elijah South, that they can still compete. And the way that they're going to compete is with a power running game.
Yeah.
Now for the Knights, however, what this show is how much work that they really have to do and how much they need all of their pieces.
Correct.
I mean, though they competed and like it was a close game throughout, highly competitive, the presence of D tackle Andre Porter was surely felt.
Very much missed.
Was literally getting everything they wanted on the ground.
Listen, I'm going to tell you this, and I know Coach Roger Minoso, one of my favorite coaches in not only DC but all around. He would not like for me or you to say this right now, but they were, to the point you're making, they were undermanned. Coach said that he was only going to play about 17 players. The line weighed a total of about 170 pounds on average. Yeah, I mean, they were tiny out there. They looked like a JV squad, and they still pushed Bell to the limit.
And that shows, man, especially from a Minoso Rogers coach football team. The one thing, and just to mention that about, especially with them not having all they got, it being early in the season, this is kind of thing that we've come to see from the Ballou Knights going all the way back to their 2017 championship run. Ballou is going to be a team, especially under the Minoso Rogers, during Minoso's tenure.
Yeah.
They are a team that will compete in the second half of the season.
Hey.
The second half of the season team, I don't know what happens. I don't know what Coach Rogers says. I don't know what's in the water down there, but it seems come October, come November, early December, it's like the Knights turn it.
They turn it on. Coach says it's all about grit. GRIT. It's all about grit. Ballou will be there when all the chips are on the table. I know you got to get out of here. I want to have you pick some of the big games here this weekend before you go, though. You ready?
Oh yeah, let's get into it, man. You know, I'm like the prediction guy around these parts, so let's get into it.
You know what, brother? You stand on the courage of your convictions, and I congratulate you for that.
I appreciate that.
Here we go. First game, this Bell squad that we're talking about, they take on Dunbar. Dunbar has looked good. On social media, they come at me. They're like, bro, you don't pay enough attention to Dunbar. Who you got in this one?
Well, in this Dunbar-Bell matchup, man, it's the TSDN game time, game of the week for a reason, highly anticipated. But I have to go with the Dunbar Crimson Tide.
Woo!
I just believe, in its simplest form, I just believe that Dunbar will out-physical Bell.
Wow.
I'm taking nothing away from Bell. I think Bell will definitely give them a fight for sure. But if I had to pick someone, which I am right now, I would go with the Dunbar Crimson Tide just based on the fact that I believe Dunbar will be the more physical team.
There we go, Dunbar. Chris Dunlap says Dunbar in game one. Game two, Ballou. Again, we just spoke about them. They maybe not hitting on all cylinders yet. They take on Friendship. It's Grit versus the Beach Boys. Who you got?
As DCSAA down as I am, and no secret about that. But in this, I just have to be honest, man. I have to go with the Knights. I gotta go with the Beach Boy Knights. I gotta go with Friendship.
Beach Boy.
Reason being is, man, I just don't see Ballou, as you just mentioned, firing on all cylinders at this point right now in the season versus a Friendship collegiate believe the team was coming off a dominating victory over the Wilson Tigers. So I have to go with Friendship in this.
And again, Minoso and Baloo, one way or the other, they'll be there at the end of the season. Here's the game that I'm going to be at. I really look forward to this one. Again, DCSAA versus DCIAA proper squad. Carroll, restoring the roar, taking on Roosevelt. Who do you have?
Well, in this one, Shad, man, this is a tough matchup right here.
Yeah.
I'm going to go with the Roosevelt Rough Riders.
Okay.
I believe Roosevelt is going to continue their strong play. And I believe they'll really just outrun Carroll. Ruquan Brown, I definitely see him having a big game.
Sure.
On both sides of the ball, actually in all three phases. I just believe that Roosevelt would just be too much for Carroll, and I believe that they'll take the victory in this one.
Carroll's got a two-headed.
That was my pick.
Carroll's got a two-headed beast at that running back position, bro.
Well, I think that Jesus Robinson and that defensive core for Roosevelt, I think they're going to shut them down this week, and I think Roosevelt will come away with the victory.
There we go. Brother, we could talk about this for the next hour. I know you got to get out of here, though. Chris, thank you very much for stopping by. Before you leave, though, you got your game of the week. Where can people watch that?
Oh, yeah, for sure, man. Hey, everybody right now, stop what you're doing, man, especially after I get up out of here, man. Make sure y'all head over to YouTube. Go to That Sports Dude Network where you guys will be able to see the Game Time Game of the Week. Once I post it, it'll be Bell versus Dunbar. I just posted the Bell versus Baloo game. You guys go check that out again. That's YouTube, That Sports Dude Network, also known as TSDN.
And he's doing it each and every week. Mr. DCIAA at Sports Dude, my friend, Chris Dunlap. Thank you, brother.
Oh, for sure, man. Thanks for having me, Chad.
As you know by now, my all DMV Top 25 presently up at NBCSports.com. Very different than anybody else's 25 because this covers all of DC, all of Maryland, all of Virginia. Student athletes getting coverage all across the board. Joining me now, though, to break this down, he's got issues with all sorts of my picks, Mr. Joshy Laurie, football aficionado. Josh, welcome to the show. Take it easy on me, brother.
Chad, how are you doing today? I'm going to, you know what, we're going to skip the formalities. I got to talk to you first. I know you're Mr. DCSAA. DC loves you. But you have no love for the DC teams here. Okay, this is ridiculous that we got the top two DC teams with Friendship at 21 overall and HD Woodson at 24. Both of these teams are loaded with talent, some of the most talented public school teams in the entire region. And then they've got returning contributors on both sides of the ball. Look for one of these teams to finish in the top 10, if not both of them.
Well, I mean, first of all, I love all of the student athletes from all of DC, Maryland, and Virginia, but I have an especially warm place in my heart for the student athletes of DC. I did my DCSAA preseason tour. I've seen all of these teams up close and personal. When you look at a squad like Friendship, though, I, too, believe that Friendship will end up in the top 10. I actually believe that Friendship has a chance of knocking off one, if not two, WCAC squads this year. However, they lost their first game, bro. They lost the game. How do you rank them above some of these other state champions when they've already lost the game? How do you rank HD above any of these other teams? HD is going to be there. They're probably going to win, they face up with Friendship, but beyond that, they may not lose another regular season game, but they got beat handily, albeit to a great Martinsburg team in their first game. They lost by about 30. How should either of those teams be higher, Josh?
I reward teams that go out and schedule games that they can lose, and a lot of the teams above them aren't scheduling out of conference matchups that they can lose.
Wait, you get an A for effort, but you want to reward, you want to move them up for losing?
I'm moving you up because you are being a competitor, and if you are going out there and saying, hey, early in the season, we're going to play a team that can beat us, I'm going to reward you for that. Just like Dematha. I can't believe you're disrespecting them. Okay, you know that the schedule that they play is harder than anybody else outside of the top three teams in your rankings. So just because they got knocked off by one of the national powers. To have them at number 9 is borderline disrespectful, especially when you know they're going to likely finish in the top 5. Last year, we were all freaking out about the early season loss, and where did they finish up? One Hail Mary from Caleb Williams away from winning another WCAC conference title.
Your points are well said. Your points are well taken. As you stated, Dematha presently listed at number 9. I'm going to go to the notes here. We have Georgetown Prep presently ahead of them. Prep was an IAC championship winning team, and they won their first game. Above them, they have Calvert Hall. Calvert Hall is 2-0. Calvert Hall went 12-1 last year. Above them, Quince Orchard. They're a championship team. Above them, Highland Springs, a championship team. Above them, Manchester, a championship team. Above them, Gonzaga, a championship team. And then St. John's and St. Francis, bro.
Hey, I have no issue with your top 3. Your top 3 is rock solid. Top 3, I mean, those are 3 teams that would be the top 3 in any state in the country, save for maybe Texas and Florida.
So what's your issue?
My issue is...
Are you saying Calvert Hall doesn't deserve it?
No.
Calvert Hall went 12-1 last year. They don't deserve it?
Oh, okay. I will... Eventually, I will get to Calvert Hall, okay? No disrespect to Calvert Hall, but right now, I have to... This is somewhat outrageous at times, so I have to deal with the most egregious offenders. Number 4, Manchester.
Okay.
I understand what you're doing. Manchester coming off a state title, but they graduated a ton of talent, okay? Big-time talent. That's a team that a program like Manchester has once in a generation. We got Brandon Clark, the big-time Elite 11 quarterback, graduated now at Notre Dame. That man was the bulk of their offense. On the other side of the ball, you have guys like Hakeem Beamon, who was able to anchor the trenches on both sides of the ball. He's now at Penn State. It's going to be hard for them to replace that production. Now, they do deserve a top 10 ranking because of what they did last season. And again, this early in the year, a lot of it's going to do with what you did last season. But to have them ranked where they are over Highland Springs, Quince Orchard, Calvert Hall, Georgetown Prep, all teams that were contending for championships and likely will contend for championships again, I think there needs to be a little bit of movement up there. But again, they deserve the top 10 ranking because of what they did last season.
Okay. I mean, again, in the season before that, they went 11-2. The season before that, they are a championship team today. They weren't contending for one. They won it, so they deserve that high praise. Now, if they get knocked off, if the losses of their senior class hurts them and they get knocked off, they actually played a really close game in week 1, so they may slide. But as of today, they earned that spot. What else do you got here? What other issues?
I mean, what can I say? Tell everybody not to sleep on National Christian Academy.
Correct.
Okay.
Correct.
They have a ton of talent. Maybe one of the most talented squads when you're looking at player for player where they project to go at the next level. Outside of the WCAC and some of those big-time Baltimore Catholic schools. I know you guys from the 757 might have a little disputation with that, with some of the programs you have there. But, like I said, it's a program that's right there next to nipping on the heels of some of the WCAC programs.
I've seen that. And this is what you do. I just believe you just took note. Look, Drake Hates, love and respect for what it is that you have built out there in just 3 years. 3 years ago, you had 15 kids playing on a dirt field. Now you got 15 kids with D1 scholarship offers who are going to play major college football.
No. You got to talk about this. We've got defensive backs headed to the SEC. They've got players playing everywhere. He just had a lineman signed to Florida last year. What Drake Case is doing is going to turn heads this season.
And my issue with National Christian, why I do not have them higher. See, again, like you, I believe that you are interchanging the recruiting game with what has gone on the field. This football program is building, but if I stand corrected here, I believe they finished up at 7-3 last year. That is correct. 7-3 last year. You finish at 7-3. You don't come into the season a top 10 team when you finished at 7-3.
Hey, Chad, this was not me attacking you for this. This was just me letting the listeners know a sleeper, a dark horse who, when they're at the water coolers, they can look like they really know the game and that mentions them.
Okay. In that case, we can agree. Again, they have an opportunity. They've got games against Friendship. They've got games against Steubenville coming up. So they have all the opportunity in the world to prove how great that they are. They just couldn't start this season above that level in my rankings. That's how I feel about it.
Completely understood. Now we have to move on to what might be the most egregious. Egregious is the correct word for this. Egregious omission on this top 25.
I'm here for it. I'm here for all the smoke.
Chad, what did Damascus do to you? Who hurt you from Damascus, okay? Who hurt you? What did Damascus, what did the Hornets, what did the Hive do to deserve this level of disrespect?
I tell you what, I love Damascus is right down the street from my house. I love Damascus. I love Brian Breesy. That's my guy. I run into him at Jimmy John's every now and again. Plus, he's twice my size. He can bite. I love Damascus, but where do they go? Where do you feel as though they go in an all DMV top 25 right now? Where do you believe they go?
I have not. I will admit it. I have not done all the research necessary to put together my own top 25.
I don't say that to cast any dispersions on the Hornets at all, because this is a big-time program, but here's the deal.
They have a lot of returning talent as well. This is a team year after year that contends for championships. They got tripped up a little bit last year, but they're going to be right back there again this year. You and I both know it. So,
Damascus,
save yourself the embarrassment.
my point in this is this, because I do, just like at the top of the bracket in which you make the decisions about St. John's or Gonzaga, the same way that I lost sleep at night with that one, I lost sleep at night with this one, because I knew that there would be a lot of individuals that would take issue with this, and I understand. But again, here's the reality of it. Yes, Damascus is a phenomenal program, one of the best public school programs in, I would say in the DMV, but really one of the best and most consistent public school programs of anywhere, all around. The truth is, though, the reality of the matter is that they did lose last year. They did not win the state championship last year. They lost last year to Oakdale. Oakdale not only beat them, but Oakdale went undefeated and won the Class 2A state championship. So Oakdale will, by default, be ahead of Damascus to start the season in any poll that I put out. Why? Because Oakdale earned it. The same way that Manchester earned it. The same way that Highland Springs earned it. The same way that QO earned it. We're not going to put teams ahead of these squads just for name recognition at all when they earned it on the football field.
All right. So your excuse for keeping Damascus off the top 25 is that the team that they lost to in the playoffs also didn't make the top 25.
No, they didn't.
You possibly have them on the top 25 ahead of them. Okay. I see the complete sound logic in that.
So that everyone knows, Oakdale is in my number 26 spot and Damascus is in my number 27 spot. Just so that everybody knows. It's listed right there.
Again, just egregious.
Yeah.
When does that... Just egregious.
Yeah. I think you're speechless because, again, I have discredited all of your arguments. But don't worry, Joshy Lord. We will have another poll that is coming out on Sunday. Me and you, we can do this again then. How about that?
All right, sounds like a plan.
That sounds like a plan. On behalf of Joshy Laurie, our other guest, my main man Chris Dunlap, also WCAC insider Darrell Balknight, I am Chad Ricardo. We'll see you next week. Ricardo report, bruh.